Hello and welcome to my presentation about unlocking and beating all the endgame bosses. I'm Hearts and I will be your tour guide today. So what qualifies something as an endgame boss? An endgame boss meets one simple criteria. The run ends either when you kill it or you hop in the chest after killing it. In Isaac there are a total of 11 endgame bosses: Mom, Mom's Heart, Isaac, Satan, Blue Baby, the Lamb, Mega Satan, Hush, Delirium, Mother, and the Beast. There is technically 2 more in both Greed and Greedier, but I am not including those because those are kind of self-evident on how to unlock those. In this video, we're going to talk about how to unlock these bosses, how to get to them, and some general strategies for beating them. In these general strategies for beating them, we're going to go over a couple of the boss's attacks, but we will not be going over all of them because some of them are a little bit more evident in how you handle that. And if you want to practice these bosses, normal mode can be helpful because enemy tiers are significantly slower. Mom. This is the first endgame boss. This fight starts unlocked, and beating her is how you open up the rest of the game. Keys to beating this boss: watch out for her stumps. Shadows on the ground give you a little warning. If you have a visual impairment for coming down, the coming down mod can be helpful for that. Do not install this before beating the next fight because mods will disable unlocks until you beat the next one. Focus on mobbing when possible. Buildup of enemies can be super deadly in this fight. Don't get too close to the doors because she'll reach out and tap you, and then use the Bible in this fight. Instant kills her. So that's kind of cool to know. Mom's Heart or It Lives. Although these are different fights, they are identical outside of the mobs they spawn. To unlock the It Lives fight, you have to beat the heart 11 times. This fight will always start with 2 sets of 2 laser eyes that you must kill to damage the heart again. Mom's Tears will also kill enemies, so if you focus on dodging, well, those eyes will definitely die eventually. Dodging in this fight is a lot about small, precise movements. Large, fear-based movements will result in damage a significant portion of the time. To dodge the spinning brimstone, keep in mind that the closest brimstone will always come towards you and get closer to the heart if your speed is not adequate. This boss also instant dies to the Bible. Isaac. This is fully unlocked by beating It Lives. To get to the cathedral initially, which is where Isaac is, you need to get an angel deal after the heart fight and ascend that way. Once you beat Heart Fight enough times, that will not be an issue anymore. He will not start attacking until you hit him. This can be relevant if you have a long charge time. So if you have something like Hamalacre plus Brimstone providing you a bunch of damage up front, you can just wait with your charge in the room for a while and then just hit him when you're ready and start the fight that way. Dodging is similar to Mom's Heart fight, except dodging sky lasers requires you finding gaps in that pattern. Corners are often your best friends in these positions, though you can dodge in between the beams if you're feeling a little ballsy. Satan. To get to Sheol initially, you need to get a devil deal after the heart fight and descend that way. You can also use the We Need to Go Deeper item or the Awaz runes. This is again fully unlocked by beating It Lives. The fight is 3 distinct phases. The first phase, the Fallen and 2 bomb leeches spawn 4 seconds after entering the room. You can time a bomb to exploit the spawning of them. The easiest way I've found to time it is you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then place a bomb where they would be spawned. 2, the Satan statue comes to life. Shoots tears to his side in 2 patterns, kind of similar to the Fallen in the last phase. And then don't stay below him for too long. He brims pretty aggressively down there. 3, Satan ascends and starts stomping Mom style while spawning bomb leechers in random locations. His stomps are a little bit faster than Mom, so keep that in mind. Circle while being conscious of those leeches, and you won't have too much trouble with this fight. Blue Baby. I don't know what to say here. This boss is largely speaking easier than Isaac because he has none of the sky laser phases. So if you can handle Mom's Heart, if you can handle Isaac, then you should have no issue with this fight. If you're struggling with him, please comment below so I can answer your concerns. Otherwise, I'm just going to skip through this. The Lamb. This is my favorite boss in the game because it is deeply nostalgic to me. It was the hardest boss when I first started playing Isaac in Afterbirth. This fight is separated into 2 phases with many attacks. We're going to cover a few of those attacks, but not all of them because there are quite a lot, and I didn't want to cover it in many, many slides. 1, he floats towards Isaac slowly but menacingly. He has his hardest attack to dodge in this phase is the 2 to 4 lines of homing tears. The best way to do this is keep a little distance. Near the end of this, you can close that distance a little bit and the tears will curve around you. Most dangerous but relatively easy one to dodge is the Ipecac shotgun blast. To dodge this, you kind of just need to move perpendicular to the attack, so just like pan right or pan left of the attack. It should not be too hard otherwise. 2, the body and the head splits at 50%. The head loses the Ipecac burst, thank goodness. Make sure you kill the body first, because otherwise they'll both be doing attacks at the same time, and that can make the fight a little bit more difficult than otherwise it would be. Killing it first will make the screen darker for a little bit. Don't worry about it. It's not too long. It's just a little bit more annoying to see the attacks. The head will charge Isaac very, very fast. Keep moving to kind of avoid this, because if you don't keep moving, this head attack can be extremely deadly, because it's usually faster than you can react. He also does 4 spinning brims. Get closer to Lamb if you're not fast enough to dodge these, but like the mom heart fight, it will spin. The closest one to you will be the one that spins towards you. Unlocked by beating the lamb or blue baby, one of the two. To fight, you must kill 2 angels and get their key pieces. The 2 angels are named Gabriel and Uriel. They have pretty similar patterns. I can talk about them in another video if people are wondering about that. But otherwise, they aren't too difficult. Just be careful with doing them early in a run. You can also use Dad's Key, Get a Gel Free Card, Sharp Key, Mr. Me, Soul of Cain, or Cracked Orb. There's many ways to get into the Mega Stand fight, but typically the most common way is killing 2 angels. So there are 2 phases, the dead phase and the alive phase. He starts off in the alive phase. Don't stand in front for too long, because he lets out a massive brimstone burst, and that can be really deadly. One thing to note is that killing hands deals 100 damage to the main body, so that can be useful if your damage is slow and a little grindy. To dodge the splitting tears, he has a Cricket's Body-esque effect. Get close to dodge those, because they're only going to split once they get a little farther from him. In the sin fights, kill the chasing sins first, because they will make movement much more complicated. The other sins typically are not going to complicate your movement in the same way. In the second phase, the dead part of this fight, standing far away from Stan can shore up a lot of the more difficult tier patterns. The holes in the tier patterns are often very short-lived, so take opportunities you have. There's one that kind of zigzags across the screen. That one I think is really what I'm talking about when there are short-lived opportunities. When those tiers open up, you need to dash through to kind of get through those waves, and that's really important. There is one pattern that is left and right curving tiers that kind of move around each other and kind of create this like mandala pattern. There's a safe space in between the lines that looks kind of like this. Don't worry about what kind of shape that is. Don't ask questions. But there will be a little spot for Isaac that he can kind of just slowly maneuver up and through that attack. It's really cool and really, really satisfying once you start to get it. General tips for the fight overall. Items that block tiers are super invaluable. Dry Baby, Guppy's Hairball, Trinity Shield are all examples that are just huge. Even Farting Baby can be pretty powerful as well. And high movement speed is pretty important in this fight sometimes because of how small those little gaps in his patterns can be. Hush. This one's unlocked by beating Mom's Heart 10 times, though you will not really see it much in the game until you get later and get faster. This is arguably the most skill testing boss in the game and will almost certainly take you a few tries to get hang of. There are 6-ish phases. The first phase is literally just the Blue Baby fight that we talked about earlier, so if you can handle the Isaac fight, you can handle the first phase of Hush. And then each of the phases after that, so phases 2 through 6, will come up at the 20% health percentage. So the first one is 100% to 80%, then 80 to 60, and so on and so forth. And each of those phases gains the attacks of the previous phase, so keep that in mind. We're going to go over the important attacks to kind of learn how to dodge in those. 2, so he's going to shoot tears, sink into the ground to hide. Pretty standard pattern for a lot of bosses, like shoot tears, hide, shoot tears, hide, shoot tears, hide. And he's only going to come back up once most of those tears have dissipated. This phase isn't too complicated. You just got to dodge a little bit and then get out of the way. The third phase, shots that change momentum are really the big ones to look out for here. Yellow shots will gain momentum, blue shots will lose momentum, and green shots will maintain momentum. So keep that in mind. 4, the flies that can either follow Isaac, you have to kill them that way, or be aimed off screen and dodge them that way. There are a few spots in the continuum phase that are completely safe in this 5th phase of the Hush fight. I can't really say too much about how to dodge them exactly because it is very much person to person on what their spots are and what they like. But try to pick up what those spots are and find those little empty holes in this phase. It'll often change depending on which two patterns are out at the time. If he shoots up and right, it'll be different than if he even shoots down and right. So just keep that in mind. And then in the 6th phase, the sky lasers are exactly Isaac's speed, so don't try to outrun them by just going in a straight line. Typically, curves are your best friend, and keep in mind that the blue creep is not a damaging creep, it's X-lax, so it's just going to make you a little bit more slippery. The Delirium fight is unlocked by beating Hush. You only have to do this Hush unlock once, and then Hush will no longer be technically an end boss. He'll be a mid-boss to get you to either Delirium or just get you a couple extra items in the mid-game. There's very little real preparation you can do for this boss fight because the sheer randomness of this fight is just very hard to prepare for. There are 2 general tips. Keep moving so you don't get telefragged as much. Telefragging is a phrase that means essentially Delirium transforms into another boss that would essentially like step on your head like Mom's foot or something like that, and then transforms quickly into a boss that is not doing that, and he'll just hit Isaac because he is all of a sudden on your hitbox exactly. Don't stop shooting out of panic is also a big thing. When you're stressed out in the later phases of Delirium, it is very easy to just stop shooting at all. And so make sure you continue shooting, even if you're shooting in a completely random direction. Sometimes it hits Delirium and that's worth it. And say it with me. Edmund McMillen, you little fucker, you made a shit of peace with your trash Isaac. It's fucking bad. This trash game, I will become back my money. I hope you will in your next time. A cow on the trash farm, you sucker. Next up, we have Mother and the Special Mom fight. A Special Mom fight is a much more difficult fight than the normal one for 2 major reasons. The eyes that pop out of the wall will sometimes shoot brimstone, which can be extremely dangerous, so try to stay outside of the parallel lines from the eyes. And when she stomps, it will be a pattern of 3 stomps in a row, ending with a cross-shaped explosion coming out from that last stomp. So keep that in mind, and this fight's not that much different otherwise. The Mother fight is one of the cooler fights I find in Repentance. If she ever plays Pong with you, you can see like you have this little projectile here that she'll kind of smack back and forth on the wall. This is a rarer attack, but it's good to prepare for. It'll shoot 6 arrays of projectiles each time it hits the wall, and so it's important to stay just slightly above the parallel projectiles coming out of that, and then you can kind of just dodge left and right on this attack. In the 2nd phase, placing a bomb in front of her while she charges up and down across the screen will slow her down considerably and give you some free time to deal some damage. Or dodge out of the way if your build is just very slow. Otherwise, this fight is really about micro-adjustment dodges, much like most of the Isaac fights are, so keep that in mind. It's not about major movements a lot of the time, it's about keeping your chill in certain situations and being able to move between those small spaces. The Beast, and more importantly, I think, Dogma. This is unlocked by killing Mother. Dogma, I think, is one of the hardest fights to learn in the game. It's got a lot of weird tells, and I would very much argue it's harder than the entirety of the Beast fight. His brim is very hard to dodge. I would recommend staying as close to the brim as you can because when he switches channels, it'll kind of go in a completely random direction, and so being far away from it can be very scary. When he Beyblades, he goes like and spins around. Keep moving in an oval or a square to dodge those shots. There are still going to be very difficult feathers to dodge sometimes, but you got to stay moving the entire time because he definitely is targeting where you are and not where you're going to be. That is important to note about that. The Beast fight itself. There are a couple of attacks in the Beast fight that I think are very difficult and should be kept in mind when you're dealing with this. Against Death, the scythes can be killed. That's really important because otherwise those spots are very hard to dodge through. Dodge through the space you create when you kill one of those, and you're going to have a much better time. Against Beast herself, you can tell if a stalactite is going to fall by whether or not it has a crack in it. Stalactites, for those who don't know, this is taught to me by my grandma, hang like titties. So they're going to be hanging down. That always makes me giggle. Thanks, Grandma Hearts. So if it has a crack in it, it'll fall in front of you. Just be careful about that when you're moving through the stalactite phase. Thank you for watching. Follow me on TikTok, follow me on YouTube, follow me on Twitch. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really means a lot. It's very helpful for the channel. And I will catch you on the next one. Here's my sources to round it out. Have a nice day and peace.